Hi, good morning. Thank you for your time. Here is research results from another special interest of mine, the Canadian legal system. And of course, I've tagged it to help organize the research and structure it. So let's go through these quickly. So there's a bunch of problems with the legal system and access, one of them being access to justice for Canadians. One of the massive issues is the funding. And so the funding currently is approximately $800 million. The problem with this is it's a fraction of what is needed. And so the result of not funding it properly is that $8 billion is spent on lawyers every year. The other thing is Canadians' intangible assets. So this is time, this is mental anguish, so on and so forth. This value, this Canadian value, gets lost. And so it's a bit of a vicious cycle, because the amount of energy and efforts Canadians are putting into their own, into the Canadian legal system is taking focus away from them growing and increasing the GDP and being healthy. So that's a problem. And so a solution, and this is a solution that's just recently one potential solution, is that the U of C got some funding from the Law Society. And this is amazing, many amazing people behind it. And the $27 million is probably going to be invested over the next 4 or 5 years in research to find a solution. And then the next step would be implementation. And this is up to Premier Smith and to the Ministry of Justice. But implementing suggested changes are hard. This beautiful human wrote a wonderful articulation in 2013, a report suggesting that things need to be improved. Nothing really has changed. This access, the Canadian access to justice, is a massive problem, and it's not just going to be solved by a think tank. We need action. And so what happens if we don't take action? Loss of trust, loss of hope. Everyone knows the legal system's broken. All the people that are involved with the legal system become disillusioned. And so what happens then is that these people who've tried to help, haven't been able to help, kind of just become emotionally distant from the massive issue right in front of their face. And so what can they do? Well, they can take care of their family and their business and make money. And so this is a giant issue. Everyone knows it's broken, but you have to live with it. And so we need to change. We need to improve the system. We need the cycle of growth. The problem with some of this is that terms in the current moment, terms such as file humping or ethics is for philosophers, is kind of some passive aggressive statements. And so the ethics is for philosophers is interesting because the legal system is supposed to be built on philosophy and ethics. So trickle-down effect. What happens to the rest of society if the people involved directly with the legal system don't believe in the legal system? What they advise, it seems to be what people advise, and what's happened in culture is you don't say anything, because then you don't communicate, because then nothing can be held against you. Nothing is libelous if you don't say anything. And so this is the idea. The problem is that affects community and culture negatively. If people aren't communicating, then it's a massive issue. And so how do we really solve this fundamental flaw of our democratic system? Add money, put money into it, and let people do what they need to do. Or we need leadership within the courts. And so this leadership is a tall ask, because typically the leaders in the courts all think the same. They're very interested in structure, and they have the same personality type. And so if you're a person that likes that, then they don't really want to change, and they've respected that whole system. So they've been born of that system. And so can they really offer fundamental change? And so legal rights in Canada, we have lots of wonderful legal rights, but can they be enforced? And actually, is the justice system preventing or or actively preventing us from the legal rights they're supposed to be protecting. So it's something that is a serious problem, and I hope that really wonderful people can step up and solve that problem. And so my suggestion with the research is to take this big picture view of it and try and figure out how we can fix this. So yeah, thanks for listening to my research. Please try and check some of my other videos. I have some other solutions and research interests. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the brief overview, and good luck and be healthy. Stay frosty.